Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Immigration for All, presented by Noura Global and powered by Kulnatic. For today's session, I am your host Sudiksha Bohora. Till date, you all may already know that we have rebranded our popular Monday Live series under this new banner to better reflect our mission of providing comprehensive immigration insights. As a part of this revamp, we are excited to announce that this session will also podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcast, allowing you to tune into our live sessions at your convenience. For today's session, our topic is latest updates of H1B. Before we dive into today's topic, I'd like to remind you that if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to share them with us through the comment box. Without any delay, let's welcome our guest speaker, Mr. Raju Mahajan, the principal attorney of Raju Law.
Hi, Sudiksha. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, sir. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, good. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, I think we can proceed with the today's topic without any delay.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, I would like to
Okay.
see the PowerPoint. Hello, everyone. As Sudiksha said, our today's point of discussion is H1B, especially the latest updates. And all of you already know that this presentation is live broadcasted in YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and also we have audio version as a podcast in Apple and Spotify. So when I say that, next slide, please, next slide, please, I'm referring to the PowerPoint presentation. However, those who are listening to the audio, please do not worry. Everything that is in the presentation PowerPoint, I read it clearly so that those who are not seeing the video, they still understand what I'm talking about. There's no confusion about that. All right, next slide, please. So today's discussion, I will try to make it as short as possible because H1B is a big topic. If I want to say everything today, that will take a long time. And by the way, before I go to the H1B discussion, the reason I'm talking about H1B today is that many of you already know that every year in the month of March, there's a lottery for H1B. So, February, March is the H1B season. So since this is, we are starting the H1B season, that's why I'm talking about H1B. This is the right time to talk about H1B. Think about H1B. If you are an employer, yeah, and if you want to hire foreign employee under H1B, this is the right time to think about that. If you're an employee, try to get hired and get applied for H1B, this is the right time to reach out to your employer, your supervising your boss or HR kind of people. So that's why I'm talking about H1B at this moment. This is the right time. This is the H1B season. All right. So today we are going to have a general information about H1B, some H1B benefits, H1B required documentation. That's a very common question we receive from our clients all the time. So I'm going to talk about H1B required documents. We're going to talk about the major changes in H1B in 2025, legal fees, and of course, our services regarding H1B. Next slide, please. So about H1B, many of you already know that H1B is not a green card. This is a work visa. People usually get 6 years of work visa under H1B. Of course, you can go beyond 6 years. There's another way. However, I'm not going to talk about that today. Just remember the name. It's called AC21, American Competitiveness in the 21st Century. That's the law that will guide you go beyond 6 years. That's a totally different topic for discussion. But in general, you'll get first 3 years visa, work visa to work under H1B. And then after 3 years, you can renew it for another 3 years, total 6 years. And there are two major categories under H1B. One is for-profit corporation and non-profit research organizations. So those who are applying for for-profit corporations, you must participate in the lottery that happens in the month of March. But those who are getting job for non-profit research organizations, then you do not have to apply for the job lottery. You can directly apply for the I-129 petition. There is no cap. There is no lottery. It's really easy to get. That's why a lot of people, they prefer non-profit research job for H1B compared to for-profit. However, non-profit research jobs are limited, so sometimes you have no other choice other than going for a for-profit corporation. So that's kind of like a general description about H1B. So next slide, please. All right, eligibility in a specialty occupation. So anytime anybody talks about H1B, one of the most important topic for H1B is called a specialty occupation. So the basic eligibility requirements is that minimum bachelor's degree in a relevant field. So this is the eligibility for the beneficiary, the applicant. You must have a minimum bachelor's degree in a relevant field. The employer-employee relationship must be established, meaning there must be a contract, employer-employee contract between the employer and the employee. Now, the employer obligation, employer ensures wage requirement. So there is a minimum wage requirement under H1B. So employer must pay the minimum wage to the employee, cover return transportation, also avoid labor disputes in the occupation. So that's kind of like basic requirements for employer. Specific and compliance. There are some specific employer relationship. The position must be clear, and the location of the job also must be very clear in the petition, so there is no confusion. Please remember that USCIS will visit the location. They started double checking everything because there's a lot of fraud in this field. So please remember that USCIS will most likely send someone to investigate the location, the position, and the job. So please make sure that all of those things are correct. Next slide, please. All right, so steps of H1B visa. The very first thing is the registration for the lottery. Once you win the lottery, then it goes to the petition. The name of the petition is Form I-129. It also has subcategories like LC approval, supporting documentation preparation, and submit to I-129 petition. Once your I-129 is approved, it goes to the final round. And so there's another thing. If the beneficiary is within America, then there's only two steps for H1B application. The first part is lottery. The second part is I-129. Then you can start working for your company beginning from October of that year. However, if the beneficiary is not in the United States, then there's a third step, which is called DS-160 or H1B visa application. You have to apply to US Embassy in your local country to apply for the visa, H1B visa. Once you get the visa, then you can come to America and work for that company. You cannot, you cannot come with other visa like B1, B2, or F1 and can start working. You cannot do that. You have to have a H1B visa to start working. Next slide, please. All right, H1B classifications. As I said, regular cap, there are 65,000 visas annually. For advanced degree, there's a 20 additional visas for US masters or higher degrees. The total is like 85,000 visa every year for for-profit corporations. However, as I said, non-profit research organizations, they do not have any cap, so there is no minimum number or maximum number. Pretty much anybody whose I-129 is approved can start working. Next slide, please. All right. Serving as the sponsored petition on Form I-129 petition. So, of course, you have to file the Form I-129. That is for petition for non-immigrant workers. You have to, sponsor a petitioner for H1B application, employer-employee relationship. This is a really significant part. Many people do not take it seriously. Employer-employee relationship must be established with clear and convincing evidence. So this is really important. Of course, you have to submit all the evidences for I-129. Next slide, please. All right, ability to pay the designated wage. So many times employers ask me, hey, what are my requirement? What are my eligibility to be qualified for H1B? So one of the very basic qualification for H1B employer is that you have ability to pay the designated wage. When you apply for someone for H1B, the Department of Labor will tell you a number. So let's say for your geographic area, for this particular job, the minimum wage requirement is, let's say, $60,000 per year. If you do not have ability to pay $60,000 per year, then you cannot apply for H1B, because if the government approves it, how you're going to pay for that? So this is a really important part that many employers, especially small business owners, they do not consider before applying for H1B. So you have to be very careful about this. If whether you have ability to pay the designated wage. Next slide, please. All right, sectors for more acceptable for H1B visa. So these are the sectors where there's a more visa approval in H1B visa, like computer related. Of course, there's a lot of job. However, recently we saw that there's a decline in jobs in computer-based applications. So most likely in H1B sector there'll be less H1B visa in upcoming years. But it's still there's a lot of H1B approvals in IT field. Architecture, engineering, and surveying. That's also a very good field for H1B. Education is, of course, especially higher education administration is a very good field for H1B. Administrative and specializations, that's also another good field. Medicine and health, one of the top employment field in America. So, of course, H1B2, legal industry also is a big application chunk come from legal industries. On the top of that, agriculture is another field. We see more and more H1B approvals. So agriculture is another good field for H1B applications. Next slide, please. All right. Employer benefits from skilled employees. All it says that employers, if you want to hire a skilled people from foreign countries, you can definitely take advantage of H1B applications. By the way, when I say foreign employees, we do not only mean the people who are living in a foreign country. There's a lot of foreign people living within America, like under a student visa or some other kind of visa. So they are also considered as foreign employees for the purpose of H1B and other non-immigrant categories. So if employer want to hire foreign skilled employees, they can take advantage of H1B applications. Next slide, please. Employee benefits from H1B sponsorship. Of course, employees get a lot of benefits. They can come to America, they can work in American company, make good money and other things. So this is really good thing. Next slide, please. Yes, required documentation during the lottery. So this is another good thing. Of course, employer, here it says copy of passport. Employer doesn't need to submit their passport all the time. They can submit their driving license or other form of ID. That is also okay. However, copy of recent tax return of the company is really important because there's a lot of information we need that is in the tax return. So we need a copy of the recent tax return. One thing I must tell here that, we are attorney, we have an attorney-client privilege. We have a duty and responsibility to keep all of our clients' information confidential. So if you send us a copy of your tax return, do not worry about that. We will keep it safe, 100% safe. And there's no way other people have access to that. So we make sure the safety of all the documents. So you can, trust us. You can send us the copy of your tax return. There's no problem with that. From employee side, we need copy of the passport, of course, and copy of the latest, resume, CV. That's another thing we need for employee end. Next slide, please. All right, documents from the employer during the petition. Of course, we need, supporting documents for job responsibilities. That's very important. Business overview. We need some basic information about your business, job duties and responsibilities, financial statement and annual report. This is really important. We basically, all it means is like a copy of your tax return. That pretty much covers everything. Marketing document of the company, other, letters kind of things. Offer letter for the employment. Next slide, please. Documents from the employee during the petition. Again, we need supporting documents, additional documents, license, certificates, and other documents, academic documents, current CV, and a copy of your passport. Next slide, please. All right, so now we are going to talk about the latest updates. This is a really significant part. From January 17, 2025, from last week, USCIS has introduced some changes in H1B programs. So this year, those who are going to apply for H1B, they are going to face these changes. Most of the changes are good changes. It's going to help you, but you must know about it. So first, they revised the definition of a specialty occupation. A specialty occupation is a really important term for H1B applications. So those who are going to apply for H1B, please pay attention to this term. The clarification of normally. The term normally is now defined as usual, typical, common, or routine, indicating that a bachelor's degree in a specific specialty is typically required, but not always mandatory. Usually previously it was mandatory, now it's not mandatory, so which is a kind of more flexibility and good for our clients. Acceptance of related degree. Employers can now consider a range of degrees directly related to the job duties, provided there is a logical connection between the degree and the position. So this is a really significant part. There must be a logical connection between the degree and the position. Also, they enhanced flexibility for nonprofit and government research organizations. As I said, they do not have any cap, they do not have any lottery. However, and they updated the definition. The term nonprofit research organization and governmental research organization have been revised to include entities where research is a fundamental activity, even if not the primary mission. Even though your primary mission is not to do the research, but research is a fundamental activity, then you qualify for this program. For this flexible definitions. Next slide, please. Also, they streamlined process and increased flexibility. Elimination of itinerary requirement. The previous requirement for employers to provide an itinerary for H1B workers has been removed, simplifying the application process, which is a good thing. Difference to prior approvals. USCIS will generally defer to prior determinations when adjudicating petitions involving the same parties and facts, unless there is a material error or significant change, which is a good thing. Automatic work authorization extension for F1 students. F1 students transitioning to H1B status will receive an automatic extension of work authorization until April 1 of the following year, which is a really, really good thing for F1 students. Next slide, please. Strengthened program integrity, a codified inspection authority. So this is another change. As I said, USCIS is going to inspect the location and also going to inspect the position. So USCIS's authority to conduct inspections and enforce compliance has been formalized, ensuring adherence to program requirements. Requirement for bona fide petitions. Employers must demonstrate that a genuine specialty occupation position is available for the H1B workers as of the requirement start date. Legal presence requirement. Petitioners are now required to have a legal presence in the United States and be subject to legal processes in US courts to be qualified for H1B program. Next slide, please. New rules for entrepreneur and startups. This is another significant thing. Self-sponsorship. Entrepreneurs can self-sponsor for H1B even with controlling ownership of the company. Employer-employee relationship. The company must prove a legitimate employer-employee relationship showing the beneficiary is not fully autonomous and report to a higher authority like a board of directors. Limited duration. Initial H1B petitions and first extension are valid for a maximum of 18 months each. Those are the changes. Next slide, please. All right, so this is the USCIS fee. I'm not going to read everything. If you have any question about fees, you can always visit our website. This is mentioned in our website, and also these are the fees. Next slide, please. This is our services. So our firm is a full service immigration law firm. We provide immigration legal service for all sectors, including everything about H1B. So pretty much for any immigration purpose, you can reach out to us. Next slide, please. So here are our suggestions for those who are going to apply for H1B. I'm just reading it from my slide. So the new H1B rules, offer greater flexibility, making the chances of H1B approval higher than ever before. It is highly recommended to apply for the H1B lottery to increase your opportunity to work, legally in the United States. Successful sponsor on an H1B, successfully sponsor an H1B visa, employer must meet several key criteria, including proving their ability to pay the designated wage. As I said earlier, paying the designated wage is really important. Offering a position that qualifies as a specialty occupation and submitting the appropriate documents. Many times, this is our common struggle every day. Employers, when they apply for H1B for anybody, they really do not want to provide all the documents. I just want to make sure that please provide all the documents. Otherwise, sometimes your I-129 petition may not get approved just because of your laziness. You have everything. Just because of your laziness. You're not providing everything to us, and we cannot submit to USCIS. It will be kind of bad for your application. Employers in the IT, engineering, business, and technical fields often have the most opportunities to offer H1B positions, benefiting from access to skilled labor that can drive innovation and growth, of course. By understanding the requirement, including the necessary documents and USCIS fees based on company size, employers can better navigate the H1B visa program and take advantage of the benefits it offers both to the business and to the workers they hire, of course. Next slide, please. All right, that was our presentation for today for H1B latest updates. If you have any question, please ask us. We'll be happy to answer. Going back to Shudiksha.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Mahajan, for this presentation. It was really informative. Moving on to comments or questions. There are no any questions or comments till now. Shall we wait for 2 to 3 minutes?
Yeah, and if there's no question, comment, then we can directly go back to our, recorded latest update.
Okay. So I think with that our session ends, or as there is no any questions or queries, so with that our session ends. Thank you, Mr. Mahajan, for your valuable time and for the very wonderful insights about H1B. So, dear audience, thank you so much for attending. Next week we have another live session scheduled during the same time, which is 11 a.m. EST, and Bangladesh time we have 10 p.m. And with that, I'm signing off, leaving you with this week's immigration news. Stay informed. Till then, have a great week. Thank you, everyone.
Welcome to the latest episode of Weekly Immigration News by Raju Law. This week we brought to you 4 latest developments in the immigration arena. Let's start with the headlines. USCIS updates filing procedures for Form I-140. Guidance on EB-2 NIW petitions. Deportation relief for 900,000 immigrants. Form I-134 update. Let's get into details. USCIS has updated the Form I-140 submission process following the Department of Labor's new Permanent Labor Certification System. Employers must now include a printed final determination from DOL with the Form I-140 petition. This update, which applies to Schedule A occupations and NIW requests, aim to streamline submissions through data sharing between USCIS and DOL, while the adjudication process remains the same. Next up, USCIS has updated its guidance on EB-2 NIW petitions, clarifying eligibility criteria. Petitioners must show they meet the EB-2 classification as advanced degree professionals or individuals of exceptional ability. The guidance explains how USCIS evaluates the national importance of the proposed endeavor and the criteria of exceptional ability. This update applies to petitions filed or pending as of its publication. Moving on, the Biden administration has extended temporary protected status for immigrants from Venezuela, El Salvador, Ukraine, and Sudan, protecting 900,000 people from deportation and granting work permits for 18 more months. TPS is extended for El Salvador to March 2026 and Venezuela, Ukraine, and Sudan to October 2026. However, the extension doesn't cover new arrivals, raising concerns as Trump plans to roll back immigration protections. Finally, USCIS has announced an update to Form I-134, Declaration of Financial Support, with a new edition dated 12 December 2024. Starting March 13, 2025, only the 12 December 2024 edition will be accepted. Until that date, applicants may also use the 9 November 2023 edition. The edition date can be found at the bottom of the form and its instructions. Raju Law is one of the top immigration law firms in the USA. The success rate of Raju Law is over 99% in fulfilling the dreams of people from other parts of the world to get an American green card. Family-based, employment-based, asylum, and green card-related services are available under one umbrella at Raju Law. For any immigration-related services, contact the address and phone number shown on the screen. You can also mail to info@rajulaw.com. Raju Law is your safe address for any assistance and advice regarding immigration to America.